Welcome to Let Him Cook. Nigel coming fresh off of Cyhawk week. Plus a little Sunday noon game against Nebraska Omaha. But the main course of this podcast, if you will be reliving Cyhawk 2024. But before we get into that, Nigel, we were just talking before we hit record. The SEC is a problem. They are the best conference in basketball. As much as I hate to say it, it brings me no joy because that is a crown that the Big 12 has been wearing at least the last 2, maybe 3 years.
For the entire decade.
It's the SEC's crown. They are running away with it. I just looked this up on KenPom. Their average rating for all, I think they have 16 teams now. I'm not going to count all those. 16-ish. The average rating is the 25th best team in KenPom. So the average team in the SEC is a top 25. That includes their lowest ranked team all the way up to Auburn. Dead in the middle, you're still top 25 when you put them all together. So there is no running in the SEC, and they have dominated the ACC, the Big 12, the Big 10. South Carolina just beat Clemson. Florida just beat North Carolina. I mean, it doesn't stop. They have looked so good all year.
Yeah, no, I've been meaning to talk to you about this for a minute because we were so drunk on Auburn. Yeah. And I just think we kind of got lost in the sauce of the top of, the cream of the crop, that we didn't look at the entire, thing of soup. Like it's a good bowl of soup, the SEC. Yeah. And I never thought I'd see the day where I always knew they had football on lock. I mean, this year it was up and everyone was kind of not at their best. And I think, again, that's a lot of the transfer portal. But for a conference being so football heavy for years, for them to turn it on in basketball, it shows in the NIL era how much, when paying players is no longer a problem, how easily they can transfer that football money into other programs. And who's right under football when it comes to, popularity and want to be good at these Power 5 schools? It's basketball. So it's really not surprising to me that Alabama, after making it to a Final Four, has figured it out, become one of college basketball's elites. Same with Tennessee's always kind of been an elite and whatnot. And then Auburn too. They've also, in the years that they've been down in football, they've made it up for in their production and for as a basketball program. So I just think it's crazy that they're able to kind of change the narrative and really, again, the football money has come a long way for just the basketball programs as a whole.
Lunardi's bracketology that came out yesterday, out of the 4 1 seeds, one is Iowa State, which is awesome to see Iowa State on the 1 line. Something maybe way back in the day we were a 1 seed. The highest that I know of is a 2 seed that Iowa State has gotten. The other 3 are Kentucky, Auburn, and Tennessee. Mm-hmm. All in the SEC, and 13 of its 16 members are currently in Joe Lunardi's March Madness bracket. That is nuts. 13 would be the most a conference has ever had, mostly because conferences haven't had more than 13 teams until the last 5-6 years. So, man, they are just obliterating everyone. The Big 12 right now is slotted to have 12 teams, which is still really good.
That's like 90% of the league. No,
I'm reading this wrong. So this is quad 1 wins outside of your own conference. The Big 12 has 12. The SEC has 23. It's almost double. So I mean,
most of those were from the SEC ACC challenge.
That's right.
Proceed.
Yeah, and the SEC. I mean, like I said, but they've given it to everyone. The Big 10 has gotten some SEC schools that have came in and taken care of business. So there's nowhere to hide. The SEC is the best conference. And it sucks. Because like you said, they're a football conference. Have football. Yeah. Let this be the Big East, the Big 12, the Big 10.
No, but the parody of it is they don't have football anymore. Arguably, the best football team in the country right now is Oregon.
And as long as ESPN is a living, breathing thing, the SEC is going to be talked about like it's the best football league in the country.
Put it this way. The SEC,
whether it's true or not.
The SEC is the Sydney Sweeney of college football. There's a lot of people behind it and promoting the propaganda, but it's not everyone's preference. Most of college football's elite this year, ironically, are former Pac-12 teams.
Yeah.
Like, that's what was so, like, huh?
Colorado, Oregon.
Yeah, like, what's going on? And I just feel like what the NIL era is showing is that how just throughout time, you're going to see a lot of sports kind of take that extra boost, especially basketball, because it's right there under football, like I said earlier. But yeah, no, like, it's surprising, but it's also not. I think it's just like us as Big 12 fans and Big 12 members, we're having a tough time handing over the keys because they kind of just walked into our trap and took over our trap. Kind of like we did with Iowa. I didn't even get to finish. I got so excited about that segue. Kind of like we did with the Iowa Hawkeyes. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So first half, painful. I think TJ said in his post game, he said, I'm not the best at my math, so if I'm wrong here, but it felt like we were down 6 to 8 points the entire game. And boy, was that true. And Iowa looked so good from three in the first half, 7 for 13. And one thing that my dad has said, as long as we've watched basketball together, and he always does this when the other team is shooting it. Never when Iowa State's shooting the three ball well. When the other team shoots it really well, he says, let them fall in love with the three. It's not going to love them back. And that is exactly what was in my head. I was like, no way they shoot above 50% from three for 40 minutes. I don't believe it's going to happen. And it didn't. Iowa State really struggled in the first half from three. They end up both shooting 11 for 28 in the overall game.
Same percentage.
But that's exactly what we said to Hawkeye. I'm like, they shoot an egregious amount of threes, and they do it really well when we play at Cover Hawkeye, and that's exactly what they did in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and this happens every year, guys. We like, it's like clockwork. Every time we're in Carver, it turns into Oracle Arena. Okay, not the Chase Center, Oracle, old-fashioned, vintage Oracle Arena. I just don't get what it is about being at home for them that they turn into the Warriors at first. And again, 2 years ago, it just never seemed to end. It seemed like it was kind of a long bad dream. But this year, I'm just glad we were able to nip it in the butt. And then obviously Curtis Jones nipped that all in the butt in the second half and turned into 2018 James Harden. And really took it to the Hawkeyes and hit some onion level shots. Shout out Aiden Wyatt. But yeah, no, I was really, really impressed with the poise that we showed in a game like this, because a rivalry game, emotions are high. It's odd. I didn't know how guys like Keyshawn and Curtis's approach were going to be when they kind of first time they played Iowa. You beat them by 30, and it's like you can easily dismiss a team like that, but they can also on their home court come out and shoot the lights out. So I was curious as to how they were going to how they were going to respond and kind of approach this game. And I was very proud of how even Keyshawn not having the best, vintage game that we're used to seeing him have this year. Curtis Jones definitely picked up the slack, and even Taman showed up real big, hit a lot of big shots. And also, man, Joshua Jefferson.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a power forward like this since Niang, man. Like, at least in an Iowa State jersey. So I was very happy with him. And then also a silent hero of the day, Nate Heisey, once again, coming off the bench, 10 points, old reliable. He is our utility guy this year. Like, I've never thought, I didn't know what his impact was going to be this year, but I didn't think it was going to be this important this early on. And then also you just feel his impact. It feels like he does like 3 good things, and then you look at the box score, oh wait, he's got 10 points, he's had 2 threes. Right. Like, it's just extremely efficient and extremely effective. But nonetheless, overall, that was like, I was glad. It felt like that was a Final Four team out there who got hit in the mouth and they responded. But it was also nice to hear the media, other fans, even Peyton Sanford said that's one of the best teams in the country. So we definitely earned our flowers Thursday night. And I couldn't be happier, because like we talked about this over too, Dylan, it's a great time to be me.
It is.
All the teams I hate suck right now.
You're having a hell of a run.
Dude. Wow. I mean, it's a great time to be Nigel. It's everyone I hate is catching fades, and it's a great time for my couch, I'm not gonna lie.
Want to go back, couple things to unpack. I'm going to start with Nate Heisey, and I don't know this for sure, But I would guess when he entered the transfer portal that both Iowa and Iowa State were pretty quick to get in contact with him. He was at UNI. He's from Minnesota originally. But, man, like I almost hope that Iowa did go after him because they could have used Nate Heise in that Cy-Hawk game. They just needed someone.
He looks like a typical Hawkeye. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, yeah. But he's tough. He is tough. He's athletic. He's a great defender. Like, he's exactly the kind of guy you need in a game like that.
Yeah, and he's the type of guy that if he was on Iowa, I'd hate his guts off of. Right. He is good. And I'm not going to lie, on this Iowa team right now, he'd probably be starting.
I think so too.
But let's be extremely honest. He would probably have a much bigger role and would probably have a lot more of a green light. So it's like he's just one of those guys that it's like he's not like Draymond Green, but he's like a Draymond Green where you love him if he's on your team. But my God, you would rather eat nails than play that dude.
And had the go-ahead layup, the only lead change of the game, bringing up Joshua Jefferson again, just a beauty of a pass in the middle of the lane to set that up. And I think they took the lead 76-74, and there was a couple ties. There was only one lead change, and it came within the last 4 minutes of the game, maybe less than that. So Joshua Jefferson, couple things about him. I don't know if it's just something they need to clean up, but there's been a couple times now where he will be the help defender coming over on the weak side from the post, and it looks like he is kind of in between challenging who's ever going at the rim or helping on the corner for the kick out. And that has to be whoever is at the top of the key. That's their responsibility. It's a hard closeout to get to the corner, but whether that's Keyshawn or Curtis or Taman or Heise or whoever, they have to get to the corner, and Joshua Jefferson just needs to he's not going to block a ton of shots, but he can affect the shot. There was a couple times where he just kind of got stuck in no man's land, and Josh Dix or whoever it would have an easy layup at the rim. Mm-hmm. That is my very small complaint, and I've seen it just a couple of other times during the season where you just have to commit. I understand that it's uncomfortable because there's a guy wide open in the corner, but you kind of got to live with that and let him take a 30% shot instead of giving up a 70% shot that's a layup at the rim. Yeah. However,
Jefferson, his only problem is he's a tad bit lazy on the defensive end, off ball. Like he knows when to turn it on when he's actually on ball guarding, but he just gets a little lackadaisical in rotations. And when people start moving, like Auburn with their flex offense, that can sometimes be his weakest Achilles heel, I should say. Because it seemed like after a while when we were playing Auburn, they were really going at him and hoping to wait till boom, he's under the rim, he's slow to rotation, and that layup is wide open. Yeah. So I that's something it's effort. That's an easy fix. It's just a matter of, do you want to fix it? And hopefully TJ, despite his offensive production, is keeping him accountable and just letting him know, like, hey, man, like if we want to win a national championship, go to a Final Four, that we got to clean that up because people are going to pick at that all day.
And the Iowa State defense wasn't good for a vast majority of that game, just as a whole unit. But the last, in crunch time, damn good. I think Iowa, I should have written this down. I think they missed, I want to say like 10 of the last 12 shots or 10 of the last 14 shots in the game. Like Iowa State really ratcheted up the defense in the last 8 minutes of that game to make life very difficult. And I know that staff and Coach Otzelberger wanted to do that for 40 minutes instead of 8 or 10 minutes. But like you said, that's what a Final Four team does. You find yourself in a bad situation and you go to what you've been training on for months. Play good defense, play sound offense, get out in transition, make your free throws. I mean, it's so simple. It's such simple things, but when you're on the road and you've been punched in the mouth and nothing's really going your way, Keyshawn's not, getting a 20-point night, you need a guy like Curtis Jones. And God, did he deliver. Just had a beauty of a 3-point shot from halfway to Cedar Rapids. I mean, that thing...
From the Iowa River.
Yeah. That was nasty. And I have so much confidence in his shot when he shoots it right now that I'm just like, it's going in. But I don't care where he's pulling up. I don't care if it's on a step back, if it's a dribble pull up. That thing is pure. Let that thing fly.
Yeah, no. Despite the Hawkeye black magic that was being committed, what a response! What a response! I mean, I don't know a better six man in the nation. I really
There's
don't.
not one. There's
exactly.
not one.
Exactly.
I've been watching a lot of college ball. That guy doesn't exist.
Yeah. Now, if Curtis Jones has no fans, I'm not alive.
Yeah,
that's this kid is. I never thought when he committed here how vital of a piece he would be for us. I thought, let's just see. I didn't know if he was going to start. I didn't know if he was going to come off the bench. But man, when you can find someone like him who is able to make the impact he can off of the bench, a walking dub.
Yeah,
dude, you're scary. Excuse me. Like you have the ability to cause so many headaches, especially for a smaller backcourt like Josh Dix and Brock Harding. Like, despite them again getting hot from three early, it just didn't matter. Like there was a certain level of composure, even when big shots were being hit, that I have not seen in Carver out of a team in a while. Like, it just seemed like when in past years, when Iowa starts making big shots, we get rattled, we get in our own heads, and then we walk away from whatever we're actually good at. And it just seemed like this was the first time in 10 years.
Nuts.
Man, like, what was going on? I'm just so glad we were able to get that monkey off our back. And shout out to Chris Hassel for being wrong once again. The Iowa curse, no such thing. Wow.
Bringing up Hassel, I listened to two guys named Chris this week, mostly because I just wanted to hear Hawkeye tears from Hassel.
Yeah.
But the one thing we did agree on, and I want to bring up Taman Lipsey here, who had a really good game. I would not have guessed. I went back and looked at Ken Pom, had the second best offensive rating of any Iowa State player above Kurt Jones. So Joshua Jefferson was number one, Taman was two, Kurt was three. But Taman Lipsey, there was, I want to say again, it was like 8 or 10 minutes left in the second half. Iowa State, I think it was either a long rebound or a turnover. Iowa starts going to the floor. They have a transition opportunity. Taman Lipsey gets a steal, and he was kind of walking the tightrope at the midcourt line and like sprained his ankle or twisted it. Saved the ball to a Curtis Jones 3. That's a 5-point swing. Mm-hmm. And in a game that was constantly, you're down 6 points, you're down 8 points, that's a difference from making it an 11-point game to a 6-point game. And that's two vastly different situations. And the one time we did get a little complacent and not playing our ball, I think was in the first half when we were trying to go 3 for 3 with Iowa. We were just trying to shoot as many threes as they were. When like the paint, we had that going, and we knew that was going to be the case. We had way more second chance points. We had more points in the paint.
We had more size.
That's like, exactly. There's no reason to shoot threes
at that point.
Yeah, just get in the middle of the paint.
Here's the thing: Deshaun Jackson had a silent, quiet, sneaky good game. Like 12 and 8. 12 and 4. If we can get that out of him, maybe beef up the rebounds a little bit more. Get around 8 of there, man, dude. If we get, we could potentially be in a situation where all 5 guys, starters, and this isn't even including Curtis Jones, all 5 starters could be like in double figures every game. And Milan had an off night. That's okay. Other guys stepped up, but I'm just saying the ceiling for this team is unreal. Like you have the potential to literally have a starting lineup that all averages double figures. Like I can't even, I get overwhelmed thinking about the type of great situation we're in as a team. And then to have Curtis coming off the bench at his production, dude, somebody pinch me. Like, oh, wow.
Analytically, the third best offense right now in Ken Pom. And on top of that, we've scored 80 plus points in every single game this season, which is a total misnomer.
It's a different odds
right.
team.
I mean, they don't look like an odds team. They still play really good defense. We're top 10 in defense. We are currently, I don't know if Ken Pom has updated since I looked at it this morning, the only team that's top 10 in offensive rating and defensive rating on Ken Pom. A lot of teams that win national championships are top 10 in both of those things. Just saying.
Not to mention,
that out there.
Not to mention 6 weeks into the season, I think we're in six or seven.
Top
12. One of those teams wins it all. Guys,
guess who's in the top 12?
We're in the conversation. It's like, dude, I don't even know what to say to that. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, if you would have told me 3 years ago when we lost 22 games, don't worry, 3 years from now, we'll be in the conversation for national championships. Keyshawn Gilbert, player of the year.
Yeah.
Like, we're in uncharted territory, and I don't want us to not be excited, but we got to keep acting like we've been here before, because I understand it's foreign, but the only way to keep this up is to just keep approaching everything like winners, because that's what we are right now. With like the jump that we've made in 3 seasons has been unreal, and it hasn't always looked like a continuous upward scale, but in retrospect, like, it really has been so productive. It's not even funny.
And I mean, like, we looked every part like winners, like we should win that game in the Hawkeye game, especially in the last 8 minutes. I mean, we looked like the better team and that we weren't going to lose, even though it was a good environment at Iowa City. I mean, they made a lot of threes. They did a lot of things that gave us trouble. The other thing I want to point out, I don't remember what episode it was, but early in Auburn season, some dude was like dragging his head anytime he wouldn't touch the ball.
I think that was Chad, excuse me.
Chad Baker-Mazar? I don't think so.
Was it not?
I think it was one of the guys that doesn't play that much.
Hold up. I almost think it was number 3, because I think you're right. He has not played. Now I got to look that up.
What I was going to say, Keyshawn, who struggled against Iowa, had a good stretch in the second half there, scored like a quick 5 points. After the game, has an amazing tweet where he says, "I'm telling my son that's Steph Curry." And it's just him and Curtis. Man, that's awesome. Where you're just like, I had a bad game, but my guy just put the whole city on blast, and I'm going to give him his flowers.
Let's go, buddy.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, wow. That's the thing too. Like, I know teams in the past with odds they've liked each other, but the chemistry, because again, that core is back. It feels so much more genuine. It feels Monte Morris, George Niang level, Matt Thomas, that era of
camaraderie.
The camaraderie is there. You feel it. Like, even the new guys feel at home with this group. And it's because the roots of this team are so strong. And look, TJ said this in his press conference when he got here, man. He wanted to get back to the DeAndre Canes. Like, he wanted guys like that to be in this program. And we're feast your eyes, because there's about 5 or 6 of them, suiting up every game. So dude, I can't even fathom like how happy I am right now to be an Iowa State alum, and most importantly, a fan of Cyclone basketball, because people don't get it yet. A lot of the casuals, and I'm not talking about people in Iowa. I understand they understand the magnitude of this. Like, if Peyton Samford is giving us flowers, dog, you know how long it took for Hawkeyes to give us some respect? Like, we went from when was the Bohannon shoe game? When was that?
2019.
So that was 5 years ago. Like, that is the difference that 5 years can make. You go from one of their best players doing one of the most disrespectful things outside of maybe urinating at half court. Like, you might as well have done that. Like, leaving your shoes, signing them. Nobody wants that. And then to go from that to then their best players saying, got to tip my hat off to them. They're one of the best teams in the country. Like, wow. It's like the bully who was just kicking your butt on the playground for years, and you finally swung back, and he just got up and shook your hand. He got up and shook your hand. Yeah. And it feels good to beat up a bully. I'm not going to lie.
Nigel, I want to throw some strays, if you'll allow me.
Please.
Speaking of the 2019 game, Dan Dockich was on the call. Speak of an upgrade, Bill Raftery on the call 5 years later. Dan Dockich being a bum somewhere, probably, looking up his own name on Twitter. I'll have to fill you in on my beef with Dan Dockich after the show, but there's some lore there. And then the other thing, Nigel, are you familiar with the Iowa Chill Twitter account? Or
I wasn't familiar with what happened, but I saw the podcast yesterday. And I just made the comments. So this is what people were mad about. And they basically, I caught them at the I'm sorry moment, but I heard they were talking crazy. If you want to dive into that, we can.
So here's the thing.
Also, wait, before you do, actually, I found the guy's name, Ja'Kai Howard. He's a 6'6" freshman out of Boston, Massachusetts. He's the overtime elite kid. But
Keep your chin up. Keep your chin up, Howard.
Yeah, he looks like a problem. I'm not gonna lie.
Going back to Iowa Chill, who is known for like dumb memes about like Polk County or like just like Iowa's favorite Thanksgiving dishes are blank, blank, and blank. And you're like, well, okay, whatever. Keep scrolling.
Green bean casserole, corn, the goods.
Which is fine. There is an audience for that on social media. However, if you don't know ball, just don't talk ball. And what was just like so apparent was you just haven't watched an Iowa State game this year.
Yeah.
Because he was talking about this team like it's the TJ team from 2 years ago, where we don't have any offense. We're just going to try to muck it up. We're going to make it ugly. That's not what we've been doing all year.
Yeah.
And he said, I don't know if they have a guy that can make shots down the stretch. And Curtis Jones, who has been that guy, or Keyshawn, or like we have 4 or 5 guys that can do that.
Yeah.
So I just stay in your lane. Keep tweeting about Thanksgiving food. Leave the basketball talk to someone else.
Yeah, see,
we got it from here.
Here's the thing. The problem when you're in the Quad Cities to Iowa City, you're in the middle of nowhere. And I get it. Wi-Fi is a little slow. So maybe he's just having poor connection. Maybe he hasn't been tuned in the last 2 years. That could be the reason. But yeah, Doug, sit this one out.
Just
actually
for you.
No. Sit all of them out. Don't ever come back. Take your ball and go home, please.
Also, it's just like very clear they like the Hawkeyes more than the Cyclones. And if that's true, just say that.
And that's the thing. That's the thing about what I don't like about a lot of Iowa fans is that they're so blindly for the Hawkeyes. Like they don't take rationale into consideration. And look, I'm not trying to speak from we've been better than them for years. I know we've been the inferior team for a lot of, especially my tenure as a student. Like losing to Iowa was kind of like clockwork, and it was like, how creative can we get this time? But it just like this is not the time to be, ride or die for the Hawkeyes. We're in the post Caitlin Clark era, post Luka Garza era. I mean, honestly, I'm not gonna lie, dark times outside of the women's team, who's keeping it afloat. They hit us in the chin. They got us. Touche. But outside of them, I mean, ain't nobody really holding it down over there in Iowa City. So they need to get well soon. And I would chill. You need to chill. Straight up.
Yeah. And we're going to keep cooking. And Curtis Jones cooked them. That was just all. The Iowa State social media accounts have been on a hell of a run. Like
except for Cyclone Larry. I got to call him out. He said he would rather extend Steve Prohm than hire us.
Okay.
And I get it. At the time, it kind of made sense. I get it. Cyclone Larry's entire personality is to at times ruffle some feathers, get a few laughs out of people. But I would have deleted that. The second that would have resurfaced. I know Jake Brand was one of the first people to pull it back up. I would have gotten rid of that.
Yeah.
Probably after the Curtis Jones dagger, I would have scrolled, delete.
Yeah.
Never again. I'm so sorry. And then that would have been it. But what were you going to say?
As someone who has a lot of bad takes, that is one of the worst takes I have ever seen. And being in that group chat with Larry and other guys from Wide Right Natty Light, he was not alone. There were some rumblings that Otts kind of stumbled at UNLV. The only place he had real success was at South Dakota State, which is the Summit League is not this huge power conference like the Big 12.
Right.
And a lot of people were concerned, is a job too big for him right now? Mm-hmm. And that's why he didn't get it, quite frankly, when we hired Steve Prohm after Fred. I think TJ would have been in the running, but he needed to be a head coach somewhere else.
Yeah, he was an assistant. That was
full time. Yeah, he had never had head coaching experience. Yeah. Which I think is why he was like, look, I need to go be a head coach.
Yeah.
Because I want to be the head coach at Iowa State. I think he found a home.
No, he did. And not to mention, my boy just got an extension today.
2032. I'll be 33 years old when that contract is up, Nigel.
Jamie Pollard walked into his office today and said, how much do you want?
Bring me my
Sign
money.
the dotted line. Oh, music to my ears. Him and Campbell within 2 weeks getting extended.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. It really is cool to see. I think TJ's story really is inspiring because at the end of the day, like I know what it feels like to have big aspirations, big dreams, and to see it not initially work out or go as much as you planned for the universe to kind of give you a setback, and kind of toss you in the middle of nowhere, i.e. South Dakota and Las Vegas, Nevada, to go win some basketball games before you really prove yourself. Take that horse crap off. Please.
Nowhere.
I was in the middle of a beautiful rant and you ruined it by showing
Brookings, South Dakota.
Can I finish?
Sorry.
Anywho, my point is, like, when you really want something as bad as TJ wanted to coach here, and you kind of get thrown through a storm of events to again try to prove yourself, and within that process, you plant the seeds of recruiting Keyshawn Gilbert to later bring him back to Iowa State. Like, it's borderline storybook, and again, that all happened within around the same 10 years that we couldn't get over the hump against Iowa. So it's weird how things work out. It's a great life lesson for all of us. If the universe closes a door in your face, find another way. If someone goes over a hole you were digging, dig another one. If there's a will, there's a way. And my God, TJ Altenberger, he found a way, and much respect to him. Seriously.
Yeah, and just one of the last things I want to say about Cyhawk, I truly, and I think it goes to what Peyton Sanford said, I really think Iowa gave us their best shot. That might be one of the best games they play all season, and they lost by 8 points at home. Yeah. And that's not, I'm not even trying to be like cocky here, that like Iowa played about as good to their abilities as they can, and I think they would have beaten 97% of all college basketball teams with that effort that they played last Thursday. But Iowa State just won anyways. Like, my tweet after the game was, everything went wrong, Iowa State wins. So that's how it felt. It felt like everything, it felt like we were down 6 points from the time the ball was tipped until 2 minutes left in the game. We were just constantly down 6, and then 8, then back to 6, and we could never get over the hump. Like you said, Nate Heisey, man, takes the lead, and we never give it up.
Yeah. And that's the thing, man. Like, we need to keep, the key is to this going forward. I don't know if transfer portal is always going to be the answer to Iowa State, because here's the thing: if we really do become consistently one of college basketball's next elite programs, you're going to get more attraction at the prep level. You're going to have a chance to be able to recruit Omaha Blues, not just from Iowa, but from all over the country. Yeah. So as we grow, I don't know if that's the complete recipe to success of just getting an old team. Let's get as old as possible. But if there's a Nate Heisey type guy that we can grab every year, let's please do it.
I want 2 of them.
I'll take 4. Give me 4 Nate Heiseys and a Cade Kelderman off my bench. Woo! We got problems. Yeah. We got problems, man. It's going to be music to my ears.
This is what I think Iowa State does really well in the portal, is they're filling gaps. They're not going to, like Curtis Jones and Keyshawn Gilbert in the same transfer class. That's nuts. Mm-hmm. And I would guess that's going to be an outlier for odds to find 2 scoring defense. Those guys are the business.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's like, we lost some bigs. Go get a couple of bigs. Go get a hustle guy for the bench. We aren't like a lot of the teams that did it this year is because they had new coaches, like a Kentucky or an Arkansas or a Michigan. Like, they kind of just had to, by default, make a whole team out of transfers. Whereas, like, I think we kind of go into the transfer portal knowing what we're looking for, knowing what we want. Because, like, Joshua Jefferson was not this highly touted transfer. And I have no idea how he wasn't after watching him. And he got hurt. So, he didn't have a lot of, tape in February and March. But, my God, I have no idea how all the other coaches in America let him get to Iowa State, because we get 2 years out of him. We get 2 years out of Deshaun Jackson. We get, I think,
Wait,
Heisey,
what?
Yeah, both those guys are back next year.
Oh my God!
I mean, and I think we get Heisey for one more year.
I knew Jefferson was a junior, but I did not know Jackson.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Chatfield's our only transfer that's a senior this year. Like that can't come back next year. And like Keyshawn and Curtis are both seniors, so this is their last ride.
I've had worse things happen to me than
in the transfer portal. I think we're going to go after like a really good scoring guard to just kind of make up for that, that gap. Yeah. But we don't need a whole new team. We need like one, maybe two guys.
Well, again, Milan's didn't have the best outing against the Hawkeyes, but I'm still very. He's
going to find it.
I don't know how. Going into the season, I thought this could be a year where Milan plays his way into the NBA. This draft class is going to be utterly stacked, only because of the for the COVID kids, there is no going back to school next year. Like, there's going to be a lot of guys that have to go to the NBA this year. RJ Davis, Hunter Dickinson, the entire Kansas rotation
roster,
they got to go. Yeah. It's almost like at worst case scenario, it's looking like Milan might stay 3 years at least, and again, I've had worse things happen to me. Yeah. So what a great position to be in, man. Yeah. It is great to be us right now. Right now, Dylan and I are like the Drewski and Jack Harlow. We're in the car listening to smooth jazz, and we're like, life like this sure is sweet. And we're just smoking a cigar. I mean, wow. Eat it, Hawkeyes. Eat it.
Yeah. That game rocked. And again, it wasn't, I think if we play our best game, that game's a little less stressful. Mm-hmm. I don't think we went out and played the best basketball we can, but you won the game. And that's what you needed to do. Yeah. And that's what good teams do.
And look, to be down that much and kind of respond instead of the meltdown that was Auburn, to have the response that we did against Marquette and pull out 9, 10, 11 points, let's continue to be that team, because you've shown it now. You showed it on multiple occasions that you have the potential and the ability to do that. Let's keep it up, because we had. I really hope the Auburn game was we were leaving that trait, that characteristic with Otz's teams, leaving that in the past. Leave that in Hawaii on an island and never go back. Because we can't afford to have that ever again. But this is how you handle adversity. Not only do you come back and win, but you win by 9, 10, 11 points. That's the ultimate FU, especially to your in-state rivals. So
the other crazy thing that I just thought of is we have now won probably our two biggest games from Marquette and Iowa. Marquette, we got off to a really hot start and then had to kind of pull it out in the end. And Iowa's a game where we trailed almost the entire game and then found a way to win in the final minutes.
Yeah.
So this team is so damn solid, Nigel. And like you said, we just have 6 guys that can score 10-plus points in any given game. Plus Nate Heisey, maybe 7.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, if Chatfield scores 10 points, I'll take my shirt off on this podcast. I don't care. I'll do something crazy. In the meantime, we're a problem to be reckoned with. I don't know what the conversations were like on the plane. If you're Auburn, walking away as Maui champions, maybe you're not thinking about Iowa State. But I hope even just walking back to their hotel room that night, they were like, "Damn." We almost got. Those Corn boys are tough.
And I don't know if you watched Auburn, Ohio State. Nigel, I am fully convinced. And sorry to Tennessee. I know Tennessee's ranked number 1. Auburn's the best team in the country.
Yeah, I don't know why. I think it's the Duke game holding them back from being the number 1 team, because Tennessee barely got out of Champaign alive this weekend.
Right. Yeah, so that's the only team Tennessee's played thus far, is Illinois. Yeah.
So Tennessee's time will come. They're giving Grant Williams, Admiral. What was his name? Admiral
Schofield.
Yeah. They're giving that a Sweet
that was a fun team.
Elite.
I really like that team.
I hated them because I never saw the hype. Just given the talent that was in college basketball that year.
You say you're too busy watching Zion Williamson dunk on every
not
man.
Just Zion Williamson. You had Virginia. You had UNC, who was another 1 seed, and then on top of it,
the ACC was really good.
You had Gonzaga.
But that Tennessee team rocked.
Rui Hachimura, Corey Kispert. We had some Carson Edwards at Purdue, bro. We had some dudes.
Yeah, he was
also nice. Carson Edwards and the Boilermakers took down Tennessee. So
yeah, they did.
That's why I've been Tennessee K for a long time now. They, despite even when they were a football conference, they were always the SEC team that you had to worry about, even before Auburn. But yeah, no, I say all that to essentially say, like, I just wonder if Auburn, in the back of their head, obviously they probably think like we should be the best team in the country, but I always wonder like how they really feel about us. Like, did we earn the respect, or were they kind of just like too caught up in the fact that they won the Maui Invitational?
I mean, besides Duke, no one has even really looked on their level.
Yeah.
I would love to see Auburn again in San Antonio.
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I would not, but I get the principle behind it. It would be awesome to get a lick back.
Yeah. I mean, like that first half, it looked like we were gonna. Like that was, I still think the best 20 minutes of basketball we've seen from Iowa State this year.
We looked like the best team in the country. Like,
yeah, we looked like the best team ever. It was nuts.
I thought I was watching the '96 Bulls. I'm not even gonna lie to you. It was insane.
It was crazy. Yeah.
But yeah.
So I mean, like they're good, but so are we. I mean, I think it just goes back to like we have to expect to be at the table now. Like we're
at the table. It's like, don't get up and move because you feel uncomfortable. You know.
Yeah.
It's like just because a bunch of hot girls come and sit by you. Act like a hot girl, you know. Act like you've been there. You know, maybe don't act like a hot girl, but you know what I mean, guys.
I think I'm following. You lost me for a little bit,
but I got him back. That's all that matters. My point is, we just have to act like we've been there before, because now, when you go into, think about it, what is scaring me and what seems like the biggest trap game now because of Maui is going to Colorado.
I don't get it.
What do you not get, man?
I don't see what you see.
What doesn't? Here's what I see, and I've seen it before. I've seen this script over and over again in the Big 12 conference schedule. It's, we go on the road to a team we have no business losing to. We then piss down our right leg and we lose to said team because we went in there because it's usually a team we've already played and we beat convincingly. Sure. And then we go to their house. The refs aren't good. Shocker. It's a Big 12. Get used to, like, I as much as I complain about it myself, like, as fans, we cannot be shocked anymore when the refs are just utterly terrible. First of all, they're all pushing 70. I don't even know if they know their own names. All right. Secondly, like how we play well at home, so do other teams. And the second we have a target on our back, we don't always play the best basketball. So that's why I'm looking at this Colorado game coming up as a trap game. If we can get past that, we're in a different level as an Iowa State team. We're not the typical Iowa State team, but I'm just going off of recent years and patterns I've seen. The biggest traumatic pattern, also because I had money on it, was when we were at Texas Tech up by 20, 25, and we just blew it in overtime, and they stormed the floor on us when we were unranked. Could you imagine what they'd do when we're 3? Imagine what Boulder, but they just won the Heisman. They, like, when you think about it, Colorado won the Heisman this year. Okay, sure. As a school, if Iowa State ever had a guy win the Heisman, if Brock Purdy won the Heisman, it would feel like we all won the Heisman.
We'd be buzzing.
Yeah, like, so if they do that, turn around and then go beat a top 5 team in basketball, dude, they might light the gym on fire. I don't know.
Nigel, here's the thing about Colorado.
What?
Elijah Malone did not win the Heisman. And it looked like every time that guy got double teamed, it looked like he was still playing Division II basketball. I just think the same way that a team like BYU last year is just built to beat us, I think we're just kind of built to beat Colorado. And like I said about the Iowa game, unless I see an Iowa State team that I haven't seen all year, I'm not too worried about Colorado.
Here's the thing.
It was comical against them in Maui.
It was, but I'll understand Maui's a different setting. Obviously, it's a neutral site. They got high school level soft rims. Milan had a Dirk Nowitzki performance. Okay, but he was acting out of pocket. on offense. But also, I don't want to give off the impression to our fans I'm riding for Colorado. Like, no, I'm not a Colorado fan. I'm just saying it's the type of game we have lost in the past. So let's not go in there sleep. That's all.
Sure. That's fair.
All. And it's just, again, the last thing I would want to do as a number 3 team in the country is to start off Big 12 season when we're not the best conference anymore. So we really don't have an excuse to drop these dumb games to Texas Tech, Colorado, Arizona, like all these random like Big 12 games. We don't have the excuse we've had for the entire decade of the 20s of, oh, we're in the best conference, like it's going to happen. No, we're no longer in the best conference. We have to just eat. And we have to eat a lot, all right? And you have to really take the teams that you are superior to, take their lunch, eat it fast, and keep it moving. Like, that's how we have to approach the Big 12. It's got to be a completely different approach than it was last year.
Nigel, I just want to speed run Nebraska-Omaha so we at least acknowledge it happened. Basically, all I saw is we looked a little Cyhawk hungover in the first half.
Very much so. Took the words right out of my mouth.
I think with like 6 to 8 minutes left, I looked over at my buddy Danny, and we were both like, I really hope TJ just like screams at him in the locker room for 10 minutes, and then they go back out there and win this game by 30. But then they got the lead up to like 16 by halftime, and I was like, I don't even think you need to yell at them. I think we're going to cover. So and that's like
what matters. Did they cover?
I mean, kind of. Good teams win, great teams cover. It's a law of science. I'm pretty sure that was one of Isaac Newton's laws was good teams win, great teams cover. We covered. But yeah, I mean, that's just Iowa State's got one non-conference game left. And this is what sucks so much. I think if you would have told any Iowa State fan before the season started, between the 3 games at Maui, between Marquette, between Iowa, you have one loss. So you at least went 2-1 at Maui and you beat Marquette in Iowa. I think any Iowa State fan would have been happy with that. But that 2-point loss to Auburn stings a little bit, knowing we would be the number 1 team in the country right now. There's little doubt in my mind. And that hurts my feelings a little. However, like we've pointed out multiple times, I don't know if we're able to beat Marquette the way we did and beat Iowa the way we did if we didn't have that really tough game in Maui. Yeah. So like the same thing we were saying, we're not tested going into Maui. What's that going to look like? We're tested now, and I think that's why we beat Marquette, and that's why we beat Iowa.
And we barely lost to Auburn. But also, guys, like I said before, I don't want you to take losing in Maui like this hard, traumatic loss. Like, dude, the fact that no one has won a national title and also won the Maui Invitational since 2001 Duke Blue Devils they had 4 NBA dudes on that team. I'm sorry. Auburn's good. They do not have 4 NBA dudes on that team. No. I say all that to say, like, guys, that team may be in the Final Four, but the odds aren't in their favor to win it all. So to lose to a Final Four level team, I'm okay. You know, leaving the out of conference schedule in this shape, winning the last 2 tests that we had, one of them being on the road in a rival environment, by almost double-digit points. Like there's not a better situation we can be in right now outside of being undefeated. And then that's what I don't like that going into Boulder. That's when the real pressure is on, because there's just something about Iowa State, man, when we're just a little bit of an underdog, we just play a tad bit better, and we got to get over that. We got to be able to play when we're good too, because that's what's going to be the entirety of conference play. Outside of, obviously it's just not as challenging as it has been in past years where there's an NBA guy on every team. Now you got some teams you can really pick at, but you also can't go into their crib, sleep, and you can't come out slow for home games as well. But yeah, no, to back up your point, Dill, you couldn't agree more with the production that we've had in the regular season. But let's get into this Big 12 season, man. I'm excited.
I want to tee you up about Arizona.
Please.
6-4. Caleb Love and company just
Caleb
blew a
Scrub.
13-point lead.
I think you said. Did you say Caleb Scrub? What was that? I didn't hear you.
Former Tar Heel Caleb Scrub just blew a 13-point lead to UCLA. Arizona's struggling. I think they are easily the most disappointing team, maybe North Carolina.
Yeah.
So far with preseason expectations.
Honestly, I would say Kansas too. You can toss Kansas in there. They're getting the benefit of the doubt from the committee right now, but the games they've dropped, they've looked bad. To drop back-to-backs to Creighton and Mizzou.
Tough look.
I mean, oh my God, my stomach hurts. Wow. It was music to my ears, but I would put them in the Arizona conversation because outside of questionable execution in that Duke game, they almost lost that one too. So a lot of their tests too, like they didn't really have a challenge. I thought they were always overpowered over Michigan State in the Champions Classic. They haven't had a lot of tests, and when they did, I fear they got bailed out a little bit by just officiating. And just, again, they're 24 years old. I would hope after playing college basketball for 7 years, you'd figure it out. But no, you lost to Mark Mitchell and the Mizzou Tigers, and Caleb Grill watched from the sideline in a neck brace. Get well soon, my boy. But you didn't even play the Missouri Tigers at full strength, and they were dropping them. And I get it; it was in Mizzou; it's a harder environment to play in. But that's not the point. I think, like what you said with Arizona, just disappointing year as so far. They were one of the teams who made a lot of rumbles in the transfer portal, but they also lost a lot of pieces. They lost Buddy, who went to Illinois. Forgot his name. The point guard with the big bun. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah,
I do know who you're talking about.
Kyron, what's his? I'm drawing a blank on his name. Anyway, they also lost Malo, their big boy, Big Africa in the middle. So they lost some pieces, that's for sure. They did pick up that kid from Oakland who made the run with what was that? Milan's buddy from Oakland from last year's tournament. What was his name? Jack something.
Jack. It's like Nolke.
Jack Golke. The other
Townsend. Xavier Townsend.
Yes. No. That was not him. It was someone else.
I'm thinking of the Iowa State football player we just got.
You are.
Hold on. It's something. Trey Townsend.
Yes, Trey Townsend. Okay, so Arizona has him now. So they were expected. Him and Love were expected to make a lot of noise, and I think just like losing a lot of guys. They also lost Pele Larson. He's with the Miami Heat. So they lost some pieces. Like at the end of the day, they're not as good as they were last year, and even last year they didn't get to the promised land. So I think at times people get a little lazy when it comes to predicting college basketball's next big thing, just because with all of the COVID kids staying for so long in this generation, it's been kind of easy to predict as opposed to where 10 years ago with all the one and dones, it was kind of like a brand new season. It was a brand new script every year. But yeah, I just think a lot of these Big 12 teams, man, they're not that good. Kansas State, last time I checked, was fighting for their lives against Drake.
Lost to Drake.
They lost?
They lost 73-70. Your boy, Mitch Muscari. Am I getting that right?
Mitch Muscari.
Muscari had 25. Shot 80% from three.
Geneva, Illinois.
80% from three.
He's actually a good friend of mine now. He's a good guy. But he's the truth. Drake is looking to be a Loyola Chicago type March Madness team come March.
10-0.
They're scary, and once again, someone else makes this conference look a bit more obtainable. I think we could win the Big 12 regular season. Like, forget the tournament. The tournament is great. We've done that. I want to challenge ourselves. Let's try to win the Big 12 regular season because I think it's completely obtainable. I know Cincinnati's pretty good this year. UCF is Last Chance U with Mikey Williams and Dior Johnson. Am I getting that name correct? Yeah. So you got some characters this year for sure. Houston has also been a team that kind of fell off. record wise. They're also a team you can't go to sleep around because they will punch you in the mouth and take your wallet. But again, this is a very doable conference now, and it's probably the best year Iowa State could be really good and really make some noise in the Big 12, I should say. Because in most years we've gone 500. Like it's just one of those conferences where we don't know what's going to happen this game. Like we're trying to beat Kansas and the big names and pray to God it's in our favor at the end of the day. But this is definitely a year where I'm looking up and down the list, and it's extremely obtainable. Because even BYU, who was, in my opinion, our biggest struggle, they're not even here anymore. That's Kentucky now. So we're just in new territory, and we got to just tread lightly, but also be aggressive. So I'm excited of what the conference season is bringing to us.
I was watching Kentucky Louisville last Saturday. Whole BYU roster. Also kind of crazy that the guys that didn't go to Kentucky went to Louisville, like Kentucky's biggest rival, probably. But anyways, one thing to walk back, Arizona's 4-5, not 6-4. So Caleb Scrubb is even worse than I gave him credit for.
I think you got to mix up because Carolina is 6-4, and if I'm not mistaken, they're now 6-5 because they just lost to Florida.
Woof. And then, like Houston is the only team on Ken Pom ranked higher than us. Every time I watch them, I feel like they need Jamal Shedd. Like, I just think they need an elite guard defender, heartbeat of that team. I just don't think they have. Their bigs don't look as good without Jamal Shedd, who I think did dirty work that usually the big guys do. He was going for offensive rebounds, and he was finding guys that were open before they knew they were open. I just think he was such a crucial part to what Houston did so well. And then, like you said, Kansas has faltered. Baylor's 7-3. They got smoked by Gonzaga to start the year. And I've they haven't.
Baylor that's a team that concerns me because they can take you down the wire. Yeah, the offense is a little scary, and I think athletically, from a skill point and an athlete point, they match up with our backcourt pretty well. So that's definitely a team that scares me, despite them being unranked. And then obviously too, Houston. I don't know too much about Cincinnati. But that when I don't know about you is when you scare me the most. So go on. What were you saying?
Yeah, just like you said, I think the Big 12 is weaker than at least I thought it was going to be coming into the year. I really thought between Houston, Iowa State, Kansas, Baylor, and Arizona that those teams would kind of float around the top 10 all year. Not looking like the case. I would guess that the Big 12 has 2 to 3 top 10 caliber teams, and I think Iowa State's definitely one of them. And then I'd probably still give the nod to Kansas. And then, I think it's kind of who's going to step up between Houston, Baylor, Texas Tech, and Cincinnati, because I think one of those 4 teams is going to be the other top dog.
And even Arizona State, I don't know how. I know last time we talked about them was like the exhibition game they had at Cameron Indoor.
Rolled by Duke.
But they got guys, and I know they lost. They dropped a recent game.
Just lost to Florida by 17.
Yeah, but Florida again. They're talking if their coach stays in check, because we heard about you. All right, if Mr.
I hope he's not a listener. Dude, because he stays catching strays on this podcast.
I just gotta call it what it is, man. That's crazy. If TJ was doing it, I'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
No, I get it. They're warranted, but I just think it's crazy. 2 episodes in a row. Strays.
I'm just saying, they're a good team. If he can behave himself and stay inside, and probably away from a phone, I think they can make the Final Four. Florida is very good. I haven't seen a good Florida team like this since maybe 2014, when UConn won it all. Like that one weird year, the 7-8 year national title game. So I forgot who was on that Florida team, but they were really good that year.
That would have been after Bradley Beal, right?
Yes, 2 years after Bradley Beal. If you're listening, please give me some OG names from that 2014 Florida Gator team. They were some dudes.
Chioza? Is that name?
I think it was Chioza. I think it was Chris Chioza. Is that or did he go to Oregon?
No, I know he went to Florida. I just don't know if that's the right year.
I got to look it up now.
Famous Brooklyn Net, Chris Chiozza, hit a game winner for the Brooklyn Nets. Shout out.
No. Okay. He was on the Florida team that I believe hit that game winner against Wisconsin in the tournament.
Oh, that sounds
buzzer
right.
beater. I don't know if it was in the tournament, but it was no, it wasn't the tournament. It was the Ethan Happ team. Okay, so it was the 2017. So he's a little later than the 2014 team. That is going to bother me. Oh my God, 2014 Florida Gators.
Nigel, one last thing that I just kind of want to touch on. Iowa State's schedule, I think, and I know this is a big ask, but I think this Iowa State team is really good. I know you're concerned about Colorado. I think Texas Tech is too good to even call it.
I'm not that concerned. I'm just saying it's a game we can lose. Proceed.
You can't sleep through it.
Please wake up.
Texas Tech is a really tough test. They're a really good team.
Yes.
But if we can win the next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, we will be 14-1 playing against Kansas in Hilton Coliseum. And that will be about as fiery of an environment that you have ever seen. So please.
If you thought last year was bad, as a Kansas fan, if you're listening, if you thought last year was bad, dog.
That game is already sold out, and tickets are going to be crazy. I can't wait. That game, that is the number one game I have circled.
Crazy. I think people are going to lose it. And dude,
students might already be in line for Kansas right now.
And I don't want to. I think that's January 15th. That should be the week. I don't know the academic calendar, but that should be the week everyone is coming back to school. I know a lot of people like to wait till that Sunday to head on back to Ames. Cut it out. You better be back.
I don't think it's in the. It's not in the student ticket package. I know that.
I don't care.
So I mean, they could come, but they would have to buy their own ticket.
Do it. Show up to the game.
Sure.
I don't care if it's tough. Everyone just got.
It's still sold out. I mean, everyone's going to be there. They just won't be students on both sides of the baseline.
That's okay.
There's going to be butts and seats.
There's going to be old guys, Cyclone Jim Carrey, the goods.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I cannot wait. Because, guys, again, the only person that Iowa State I don't think still has an answer for is KJ Adams. And that's just because he plays hard. But everyone else, we've seen them. They've been there for 50 years.
We've got size now, though, too. Like, I don't think KJ Adams can do what he wants to do anymore against us.
And I don't think Hunter Dickinson is just going to be ram his body into Deshaun Jackson. That's a terrible idea.
Trey King put Hunter Dickinson to work, and both Joshua Jefferson.
And Trey King is all of 6'8", 6'7".
That's what I'm saying. Undersized as hell and gave him the business.
Yeah. I did find that 2014 Florida team, it was Dorian Finney-Smith, so another Nets legend.
Yeah.
Alex Murphy, Chris Walker. He was good. Oh, Scotty Wilbekin. Do you remember him?
No. Honestly, Dorian Finney-Smith is the only one that's ringing a bell so far.
Yeah, I mean, because he's a league guy, but most of these guys were very good at the time.
2K name.
Also, shout out to Billy Donovan Jr., walk-on from Gainesville, Florida. Man, he was
wonder how he got a spot on the bench.
He seems like a really hard worker.
Yeah, high IQ, good free throw shooter.
Yeah, but in the meantime, we're back to Iowa State. What a time to be us, guys. Just take a moment, and when you're at work, school, if you got the day off, if you're sick, just take a moment and really think about what type of situation we're in as Cyclone fans right now. And it's also cool too how we won. We were down 13, and not only this game, but the football game, and then we won in late game heroics.
How about it?
I mean, it's just been a great year and the ultimate middle finger to Iowa City. So I couldn't be happier. And for both, and again, for this part of the Cyhawk rivalry to be in Iowa City, it just feels a bit better when the wins are over there. I'm not going to lie.
Yep. As George Niang once said, to Cyclone State. Nigel.
It always has been.
Let him cook.
Let's go. Let him cook, baby.
Let him cook.